What up, guys? I'm doing another quick video before all the games kick off this Sunday. Had our Thursday night game. If you started the Packers players or if you started Chicago players, I mean, one of two things: you either got off to a really great start or you are really feeling bad about your team this week. Ty Montgomery. You can't control for injuries, but man, these Packers players, they are dropping like flies, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. I thought Danny Trevathan had absolutely killed Davante Adams. I really did. Man, when I saw that hit initially, like is okay as a helmet to helmet, but when they slowed it down, the way Davante Adams' head just kind of snapped around, I was like, oh my God, man. This dude, I'm like, he might not walk again. What happened? So it's a pretty vicious hit, man. So that's really bad. I'm usually one of the main ones that you're going to hear like, oh, this targeting crap is bull crap. A lot of times it is bull crap. A lot of times you can't help it. And I don't know that Danny Trevathan really has I guess, reputation as a violent, dangerous, dirty player. I've never heard that about the guy. And I don't think he deliberately did it. But man, that hit, I was like, holy crap. I was like, that is too much for that man. So, bad for Davante Adams, man. Hopefully he'll turn out okay. I don't know what the prognosis was or anything like that, but I imagine he's going to miss probably at least 2 or 3 games at a minimum just going into the concussion protocol. So if you've got Davante Adams on your roster and you were counting on him, you're going to have to start making some adjustments on that. Something else about the Bears. I mean, I keep seeing this talk now. Everybody's saying, should they start Mitchell Trubisky? Should they bench Mike Glennon? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely they should bench Mike Glennon and start Mitchell Trubisky. If for only one reason and one reason only, you drafted him second overall. You do not draft a backup quarterback second overall. And Mike Glennon is terrible. How can Trubisky be any worse? And yes, there's the counter argument. Well, now we don't want to send him out there. We don't want to throw him to the wolves or nothing like that and, get his confidence down or something like that. Do you think his confidence is going up watching his team suck, watching his team get killed from the sidelines? No, that's not driving the man's confidence up. He's looking around and he's probably thinking to himself, what kind of a crappy situation am I in right now? Am I going to be the next David Carr, the next Joey Harrington, the next Byron Leftwich? Am I going to be on a horrible team and just wind up being embarrassed? Now, granted, those guys I mentioned, Leftwich, Harrington, Carr, they probably weren't going to be good regardless of wherever they were playing, but they were still in crappy situations. If you're getting drafted number 2 overall, it's typically because you're getting drafted by a really, really crappy team. So you're going to have your work cut out for you. But trading up one slot, they traded 4 picks to go up one slot and get the guy. Yes, absolutely. If you're going to do that, it's clear as a bell, man. You got to start the guy. I mean, we're talking crystal clear. Anything else is foolish on the part of the organization. So we got a lot of cool college games kicking off. Miami and Duke just kicked off. Some of y'all may remember the 8 lateral play that really wasn't, should not have been a touchdown. I imagine Duke is looking for a little redemption tonight. So I think this is going to be an interesting game. They're not very deep into it. I think they literally just kicked off. So it may be something to check out over on ESPN. Then got a pretty interesting one after that for me, Washington State and USC. I mean, this Sam Darnold guy, before the season started, they're like, he's the guy. He's going to be the number 1 pick. This guy's an interception machine, and he's showing it. He's not an NFL quarterback. Somebody asked Mike Leach at some press conference or his coach show or something, did he think Sam Darnold was an NFL quarterback? And about 670 words later, he was talking about Kobe Bryant and said all of that to basically say, no, I don't think at this time in the kid's career he's an NFL quarterback. I agree. I would say if one thing Mike Leach knows is quarterbacks, and I definitely agree that I don't think Sam Darnold is good, and I was not jumping on the Sam Darnold hype train. I would like to see Washington State beat USC tonight just because screw USC, but part of me is also, I don't root for Washington State per se. I'm not, oh, well, if there's a Pac-12 team I root for, it's this one, and then the SEC team, and then the Big Ten team, and then the ACC. No, I'm a one-team guy. I only root for Texas Tech. But part of me pulls for Mike Leach teams. I know the guy got a raw deal over here. It was screwed up the way that went down. They were looking for an excuse anyway to run the guy off, so they found it in this shithead player, Adam James. And I know there's a lot of people in Lubbock probably should let it go. I wasn't even in Lubbock when it happened, but I think Mike Leach is still a great coach, and he's proven it by doing so well at a school like Washington State that obviously doesn't have the resources that some of their conference counterparts are going to have in that. Certainly a much smaller town, but I mean they're winners pretty much every year, at least bowl game quality team, and I'd love to see them knock off USC. I think it'd be great. And so the question that was asked on Double T today, I want to say it was during the noon hour, sometime around that time, they were talking about, should people root for Mike Leach, or, should we bury the hatchet or whatever. I think it'd be great if people in Lubbock rooted for Mike Leach. I think that's fine. I think it'd be better off if he was still the head coach here. Y'all know how I feel about Cliff. But I'll be excited to watch that game tonight. I think kickoff for that game is about 10:30, so it's a pretty late game. But I'm planning on checking that out, staying up late to watch it. Our game's late tomorrow. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State's playing at 7 o'clock kickoff if it doesn't rain and push it back an hour like it did last time we had a 7 o'clock kickoff. But how about going down to Houston and winning? Defense kept us in that game. That's great. We're going to need a lot more of that going up against Oklahoma State. They've won 8 games in a row against us. We're not doing well against that team. We need a statement win. That would, in my opinion, would be a statement win. We'd be 4-0. I was looking at the polls on Monday this week too, and I know the coaches poll doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, but I gotta call out the ruse here. The coaches poll had an 0-2 Florida State team at 25, ahead of the NC State team that is 3-1 that had just beaten them, and beaten them pretty decisively as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that wasn't a fluke win by NC State. It wasn't some, blown call or quadruple lateral or something crazy like that happened, or a Stanford band on the field. It wasn't a fluke win. NC State definitively did beat Florida State. They were the better team. The better team won. So how do you even begin to validate an 0-2 team ranked 25 when NC State is not even ranked? That is absolute total horseshit. There's no getting around that. And I don't care who the team is. If there are 3-0 teams out there, they should always be ranked ahead of an 0-2 team. Minnesota, Texas Tech, any other, Navy, I think is 3-0. Any of those teams that are unbeaten should always be ranked ahead of an 0-2 team. 0-2 team should not even be in the conversation. If you are 0-2, win some games before you start talking about should we be ranked, should we not be ranked, should we be ranked on reputation only. No, you should not. Win a game, period. If you're 0-2, screw you, Florida State. You pad your schedule all the time with a bunch of patsies, and they do. Look at their schedule. They always are playing bozos half the time. And later in the season, we play Clemson, we play these good schools. Yeah, great, you play Clemson. Great, grand. That's fantastic. Everybody else plays somebody good in their conference too. But Florida State is the only team, I think, in the last 10 years that at one point, I know a few years ago, they had 2 FCS schools on their schedule. 2 of them. What are you doing? I mean, that's idiotic. I don't even think an FBS school should even play an FCS school, period. And certainly not a Power 5 conference. They should not even be scheduled. Just take them off. If you want to schedule some cream puff, then schedule a MAC school, schedule a Sun Belt school, at least they're FCS. But don't go in there scheduling Jackson State We're going to play Jackson State, and then we're going to play a glorified, FBS school, FCS school rather, that's masquerading as an FBS, like UMass, or Georgia State or Georgia Southern or Coastal Carolina or App State. Well, App State may be an exception. They're pretty decent regardless, but you're playing these schools. I mean, this is silly. You're Florida State. You're supposed to be good. Don't lose to bozos. Don't even schedule bozos, quite frankly. Play somebody worth their salt, please. For the love of God, play somebody. And I'm talking about Texas Tech, too. I did not like having Eastern Washington on the schedule. Or years before, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, Central Arkansas. Don't play those schools. Please play somebody regionally relevant. If you want to play a lesser school, play Tulsa. Play UTEP. Play New Mexico. Play New Mexico State. Play Colorado State. I think those would be great games to play. But we just don't schedule them like I think we should. Now I do like the Pac-12 arrangement that we have with them, playing Arizona State home for home. I think we've got some upcoming games against Arizona, Oregon State. I would love to see Washington State. That would be interesting, but I just don't think that's ever going to happen. And I can't see Colorado coming in because they've got this Texas rule they were talking about maybe a month ago on Fansided, where basically the conspiracy is that Texas got with all the other Big 12 schools and was like, do not schedule Texas A&M. Nobody in this conference schedules Texas A&M. And I imagine they said the same things about Missouri and Nebraska and Colorado, which is why we haven't been scheduling them and playing them. And really what seems like any sport, quite frankly. But these college games, man, they're looking good. They're really exciting, I think. I think there's going to be some great games this week to look at. Vanderbilt and Florida is going to be a good game. I know Vanderbilt got obliterated by Alabama. Florida should have lost to Kentucky. It was basically a holding call, which it was not a phantom holding call. I was watching the game when that holding call was made, and it was absolutely a hold, which they missed that field goal by about 3 yards, so that holding call was, in fact, the difference. But I think the Florida-Vanderbilt game will be nice. It'll be a pretty exciting game. I'm going to go ahead and just make some picks. I'm picking Vanderbilt for the upset in Gainesville. I really think Vanderbilt can go in there and beat that team. I really do. Indiana and Penn State, I would like to see Indiana maybe upset Penn State, just not that I have any affinity or hatred for one or the other. It's just I'd like to shake up the top 25 a little bit, and if we beat Oklahoma State, maybe that makes a case for us to move in relatively high in the top 25. So Indiana beating Penn State would be nice, but I don't see it happening. I think Penn State's going to win that. I think Georgia smashes Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. I don't think that there's any question there. I think Georgia is a superior team right now. Tennessee is always overrated. Butch Jones is not a good situational coach. He's a great recruiter. He's a pretty decent coach, but he's not a good situational coach. He makes dumb decisions. So I think Georgia romps all over Tennessee in that game. Louisville versus Murray State, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's a FBS school going up against an FCS school, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Mississippi State and Auburn could be pretty interesting. I can't stand Auburn, and I don't have any love for Mississippi State, so that's like choosing diarrhea or constipation in that game. So I'm just going to default on not making a pick on that one and deciding who I want to win because I don't care. I hope maybe there's some special circumstance and they tie. That would be fine. Troy and LSU, I mean, what do you think I want? I want Troy to go to Baton Rouge and beat LSU. Isn't going to happen, but it would be really cool if it did. For me, it would. There's a lot of people out there, LSU fans, going, what is this asshole talking about? And they're throwing a fit right now. Why is he always down on LSU? Because y'all know I can't stand them. I hate them. That's never going to change. There is one school that I will always hate from now till eternity, and that's that garbage school in Baton Rouge. So, bottom line, that's where it stops. Clemson and Virginia Tech, two 4-0s. Man, I think Clemson wins this game, but that's going to be a cool game to watch if you can watch it. I won't be watching it because it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, so I'll be at the game Saturday, so I'll be there. I won't know what's going on until after the fact, but I think it'll be a cool game. But, of course, if you want to watch Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, that'll be a cool game too, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, there's some really great games that are going on this week. Some pretty exciting top 25 matchups. Oklahoma State, despite losing to TCU, they're still ranked 15. I think in the Big 12, looking at the way things are shaping up, looking at the way some of those teams are, I really think TCU might have some legs in this conference, man. They may be probably not the odds-on favorite to win. I think Oklahoma, people would be signing up for that, but TCU may surprise some people. They may win this conference. I think it'd be really cool if we can beat Oklahoma State too, and they can beat Oklahoma, and we can beat Oklahoma on the way, and you got two undefeated teams playing each other at the end of the season. That would be really cool. I strongly doubt that would happen, but it would be really cool if it did. That'd really amp up that matchup because 2 years ago when we played TCU over here in Lubbock, that was the loudest I have ever heard the Jones, and the absolute most electric I've ever seen it. And I would really, really like to see it that way again. This Oklahoma State game's a sellout crowd, so it might have that same kind of feel to it. So we'll see how it goes. They're coming off of a loss. Screw them. Glad they lost. Xerox State, they still are traditions. They want to be us. That's a fact. Anybody that says otherwise is some Oklahoma State homer, I guess, some Mike Gundy fan or something like that. But we got some cool college games coming up. The NFL season, at this point, I don't know that there's any matchups that are really just looking at the schedule that are just super intriguing where I'm like, oh, man, I really, really, really got to watch that game, you know. But from a fantasy perspective, I mean, I'm hoping that my team does something. I'm 0-3. I've got to get some wins. And just for the record, I want to point out I have never lost to Teddy Roosevelt. I want to keep that going. Sorry, Derek. It's no offense. I don't have any animosity towards you. I don't see a rivalry there. But I've never lost to you. I don't want to lose to you. I don't want to lose to anybody. I want to keep that up. You know, so I think right now my rivalry in our fantasy league has got to be, from a division standpoint, Akbar, because not personally, y'all know Drew and I are close and we're friends, but I've lost some really, really close games to him that I should have won. That's how rivalries are born, man. So I'm hoping to reverse the curse here when we play each other a second time and get back at him. So we'll see how that goes. But Derek, good luck. I mean, right now we're pretty dead even. Jordan Howard got you a reasonable amount of points. Jordy got me far more than I could have asked for, so I'm really excited about that. So good luck this week, guys. I know everybody's going to be watching hard because this is kind of a pivotal point. This is, we're hitting week 4. Right now it's going to kind of determine where you're at right now in this league. Are you a playoff team? Are you a pretender? Are you somebody that's a cellar dweller like I am right now? I'd like to think I'm a playoff caliber team masquerading as a cellar dweller right now with just some bad luck in the first 3 weeks. Not in this league, but in another league. A few years ago, Josh started 0-5 and wound up winning a championship. So it can be done. He rattled off nothing but wins moving forward. So hopefully I'll have some of that same kind of luck. Well, like I say, good luck this week, guys. The college games are really cool, so check them out. Sunday we'll see what happens, and then we'll follow up next week, see how things are going.